Welcome to the Somos Sunnyside podcast, brought to you by the Office of Public Information, where we are sharing stories about the bright side of education.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Somos Sunnyside. That's right. We are Sunnyside. I'm your host, the proud superintendent of the Sunnyside Unified School District, Jose Gastelum, and we have an awesome guest list here today, and we got teachers. So, my favorite people, when you think about teachers, you think about the impact they have on the lives of our students each and every day, and how they inspire and how they support our students. And in my case, I always refer to my kindergarten teacher, Miss Artemisa Lopez. So I'm giving her a shout out there, and starting school as a ELL student, and I only knew at the time, I only spoke Spanish, very little English. She definitely brought me in and just treated me like everyone else, made me feel special. And just never forget that, so teachers definitely shape the lives of students each and every day. And so with that, let's introduce our special guest here. So, and what we have today is just different years of experience, right? So we're gonna talk a little bit about their experiences. We have Miss Mari Martinez, who is a preschool teacher at Ocotillo, and she's been in the district 23 years and has a total of 27 years of teaching experience. So welcome, Miss Martinez.
Happy to be here.
We also have Fernando Jimenez, who teaches English language arts and AVID at Desert View High School, also is in the role of lead teacher, and he has 11 years experience. So welcome, Mr. Jimenez.
Thanks for having me.
And last but not least, we have Mr. Ethan Bussell, who has 4 years of teaching experience, and he's at Apollo Middle School as a PCT, and also teaches social studies. So welcome. Our goal today is just to share your experiences, share how you got to Sunnyside, what was your journey. I think people love hearing about journeys, right? Because for our listeners out there, whether they're thinking of pursuing teaching, thinking of pursuing education, for those that are still listening to our podcast that are still in high school or middle school, and I know we got some young fans as well at elementary schools, we want to give them information, and we want to make sure that they have the right information to make decisions as they start, their career journeys and their pathways. So we'll start with Miss Martinez here, again, who's a preschool teacher at Ocotillo in our PEEPS program. And so tell us, Miss Martinez, what was your journey like? Why did you pick education? Why did you pick teaching? And why have you been doing it for so many years?
Well, it all started in high school. I wasn't necessarily ready to find a career path, but I had a math teacher, Mr. Daniker, and another teacher, Mr. Mariscal and Mr. Canape, who made learning fun. And it was difficult as an ELL learner to really understand and comprehend, but they brought it, alive, and they made me want to be a teacher and bring that to other students. My journey started in Douglas, where I'm from Agua Prieta, but I grew up in Douglas.
So you're a bulldog.
I am a bulldog.
Proud bulldog.
Black and gold.
Oh, yeah.
And when I got my degree, I went to Nogales because I was looking for another small city to start teaching in. And then when we moved to Tucson, I was looking for a place to call home. And Sunnyside, the way I look at Sunnyside, it's like a small little town where everybody knows each other, where, we work together, our families, they remind me of home.
It's like a Douglas on steroids, right? Or a Nogales on steroids. So,
yes.
And so tell us, as you chose Sunnyside and you started your career here, why was it a good fit for you?
I think it was a perfect fit because of the families and the culture that we have here in Sunnyside. I see myself and I see my family and how we grew up in every single family that walks through the door, regardless of, their ethnicity, their religion, regardless of the language. We just click. And that's, I think, one of my favorite parts of being a teacher here in Sunnyside is building those relationships, not only with the students, but building them with the families and really getting to know them. And here, you you have the siblings, and you have the cousins, then you have the tios and the tias, and then eventually,
Absolutely.
you know, everyone else. So it's really nice to build that reputation also as a teacher.
Yeah, and it's super interesting for me to hear, perspectives from those educators that have come from outside of the Sunnyside community. Of course, I'm biased. I was born and raised here, been here my entire life, and so, I do hear that a lot from, those people that have come from other communities, from other states, other cities, talk about that relationship with parents, bonding with other colleagues, tight knit community. So, you start throwing names around here in Sunnyside, here in South Tucson, I mean, you're going to know somebody, right? And so those are always interesting conversations. So moving on here to Mr. Jimenez, tell us a bit about your journey. Why teaching, why Sunnyside, and why you love what you do.
So I did grow up in the district, same as you. I went to Mission Manor, Apollo, and then graduated from Sunnyside.
What class?
08.
08. Wow, a lot younger than me.
Decided to take a break from Tucson from there and went to NAU and kind of bounced around a couple majors, linguistics, and eventually landed on my degree says secondary English education. So I got exactly what I'm doing right now. Right around that time, I did a stint in another district in town, and then I landed in here.
You can name them. It's all right because you're here now. But
they're the big one, but then I landed at Challenger, and I really liked the challenge behind teaching. I wanted to figure out how to get better and grow and challenge myself in what I was doing. And Challenger throughout those years really was challenging and in pushing me in growing as a teacher that I am today. Tons of support, tons of professional development and opportunities that I really, really am thankful for the district for being able to invest in me and being able to push in that idea that I can grow and become better and keep going. And that's really what fueled my move over to Desert View as well. I felt like, I'd really done a lot of growing at Challenger. There were some people that I'd worked with across the district that were at Desert View, and I wanted to go and keep working and keep growing.
Well, thank you for choosing Sunnyside. I mean, that's very inspiring in what you're saying. For those listeners out there, just the humbleness of how you approach teaching. Wanting to learn, wanting to grow. We just never arrive, right? I mean, there's always so much to learn and so many new things to try. And so, thank you again for choosing Sunnyside. And so we're hearing different perspectives here. Ms. Martinez, we'll call her the veterana over here. She's been teaching 27 years, and Mr. Jimenez here in the middle of the line here, and Mr. Bussell, who is at Apollo. So tell us a little bit about your journey as well, Mr. Bussell.
Yeah, definitely. I can echo, a lot of other educators having had a person, in their youth that inspired them to become a teacher. I still remember Bolts Middle School, Fort Collins, Colorado. Mr. Needham just made me laugh every day. So I still remember how I felt in his class. And it was since that time that I really felt like I wanted to be a teacher. And I put it off for a while. I wanted to feel like I had lived enough and had experiences that I could pass on to my students. So I put it off for a while. And I came to Tucson when my wife had an opportunity to work and go to school at the University of Arizona, which is when I became alternatively certified as a teacher. And for me, Sunnyside provided the support that I needed to grow as an educator. As a new teacher, there's always going to be huge challenges, days when you feel like you want to give up. But I had great mentors and like Mr. Jimenez said, a lot of opportunities to participate in summer institutes and in different programs to help me push myself professionally. And then just shout out to some of the mentors that I had, especially in my first couple of years, that really, really helped me. Former principal of Apollo, Thad Dugan, and then our former instructional coach over there, Apollo, Frank Lopez.
Okay. All right. Well, awesome. And as I mentioned earlier, we're definitely hearing different perspectives here, and and one of the common themes here I'm hearing is those people that inspired you, right? You're talking about your former teachers, talking about opportunities and being thankful for those opportunities, and I love to throw shout outs, just because I want people to know, so don't be afraid to drop names. The problem with dropping names is you're going to forget somebody, but I mean, my elementary experience at Mission Manor was awesome. I had, Artemisa Lopez, I had Dolores Lopez, who's still working with us. I mean, I think one of the longest tenured teachers here in the district. In middle school, I had, Mr. Ed Durazo, you had Mr. Ochoa. I mean, and then in high school, my former principal, Mr. Nido, and then you had Coach Seward, Coach Sanchez, and Mr. Heinz, and so many great teachers, right, that just deeply cared about you. And I think when students know you deeply care about them, that's when you tap into their potential, right? That's when you tap into their talents and you get the most out of them. Our students need to know that we care about them, right? Absolutely. And I think sometimes that's what brings them back to school. And so, just a little bit about Sunnyside for those listeners out there. Again, you're hearing different perspectives from our teachers here, and one of the things that I want to point out is just give you a little bit of demographics about Sunnyside. I mean, we have 21 schools. We have a preschool in Ocotillo. We have 12 elementaries, and we have 5 middles. One's, we have Sierra, that's a K-8, Apollo 7-8, Challenger 7-8, Lawfer 6 through 8, and then Gallego Intermediate, that's a 4 through 8. So a little different, a lot of options there. And then we have, our 3 high schools, Sunnyside, Desert View, and Star. And so, we have approximately 2,000 employees, approximately 850 teachers, and approximately 14,000 students. So we still are the second largest school district, in Southern Arizona. And so, very happy to announce that at this recent board meeting, we approved some increases. We're in the process of approving a PTO buyback as well. We have very competitive pay. Our first year teachers are making at $48,000 as a base pay with other incentives that you'll add to that. So very competitive. We've had job fairs and we're doing pretty well, in terms of our vacancies, in terms of filling those vacancies. But I wanted to share that information just because for those people listening that may not know about Sunnyside, there's a lot of support here. You just don't get thrown into the classroom and left alone. And so, I want to quickly just say that we want to hire you and we want to keep you. And so that's why it's so important that we provide that support for you. And as you go along, there's other opportunities, in terms of getting your master's in ed leadership. We have a partnership with American Intercontinental University. Did I say that right? That's a mouthful, right? Mm-hmm. And so actually, Mr. Bussell and Ms. Martinez are in that program. So you guys, do you want to talk a little bit about that program? I mean, one of the things that's pretty cool is the district pays for that program. And we do require you to stay here, is it 2 years or 3 years? 3 years. And not necessarily in a leadership position, but just, at 3 years that you commit to us as we pay for that master's in educational leadership. So, let's you can talk about that or just talk about other opportunities, talk about support. I also want to hit on, Ms. Martinez is also our SEA president. So that's our teachers union. So talk a little bit about, for those individuals that are thinking about applying at Sunnyside, even those that are just new to Sunnyside may not know all the resources we have. Talk a little bit about that and just jump in.
Well, I will start with talking a little bit about AIU and the journey, I guess, that I've been on since April of 2024. It is a 1-year program, and as Mr. Gastelum mentioned, Sunnyside is paying for our master's degree in educational leadership. It is fast-paced, but it also provides us opportunities to have a lot of practicum hours and reaching out with district leaders and leaders within schools and being able to get a lot of experience outside of the classroom in different kinds of leadership roles. The other one is I am the president of the Sunnyside Education Association. So I do represent our certified staff, which includes teachers and our PNTs as well. So our union here in Sunnyside, we offer a lot of opportunities for professional development, and we also offer a lot of opportunities to be able to participate more within schools and within the district.
Yeah, I know at Challenger we partnered with WestEd, and that whole relationship has been a very long one. Just tons of professional opportunities. I flew out to Virginia, I flew out to Texas to do different professional developments through the UVA or through different turnaround programs at Challenger. The amount of expertise that is here and the training that we have here is really great. The resources that are spent in really pushing our teachers to improve is just something that I really found attractive to the district. It is a district that wants to improve, that wants to support people that want to improve, and I've found all the support that I've ever wanted. It's always here, and the people are very supportive at the schools themselves. My principals, my colleagues are supportive of testing out different theories and practices and skills, covering each other when we have to go observe other classrooms. I've always found the teams here to be very supportive, just on a very day-to-day level of being able to grow.
Yeah, I really appreciate the culture of continuous improvement here because, like Mr. Gastelum said, I mean, we're never really there as educators. We never really make it. There's always ways that we can improve. And so it's been an honor for me to be able to participate in the AIU program because I feel like that's helped me develop my skills so that I can better support other teachers and so that I can grow as a leader myself. Opportunities to attend AVID conferences in the past were game changers for me to try new things in the classroom and then even through the union as well, some professional development that Miss Martinez and I went to last summer was also very eye-opening for me. So it really is when we say that there's a lot of opportunity to grow and to push yourself. There are, and it's encouraged too. And if you make a mistake, it's not a bad thing. It's okay, what can we learn from
We
that?
all make mistakes, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and that's what it's all about. It's definitely about resources. It's about opportunities. It's about feeling valued, right? And I think that's what's most important, is we want all our employees to feel valued, no matter if you're certified, classified, administrator, and there's opportunities to grow, and it does take initiative. It's for those that want to grow will have the opportunity. And so we're gonna break to a quick commercial, but don't go away. We'll be right back.
Sunnyside students can have it all, learning and growing to graduate college, career, and community ready. Don't believe us? Just watch. At Sunnyside Unified School District, we are preparing our graduates with real-world skills and experiences. Our graduates are leaving Sunnyside to pursue an Ivy League education, becoming collegiate-level athletes, and earning prestigious scholarships such as the Gates Millennium, Dell, and Dorrance.
All right, we are back with Miss Martinez, Mr. Bussell, and Mr. Jimenez. And so I want to talk a little bit about proudest moments, most challenging moments. Being a classroom teacher is definitely something challenging, but very rewarding as well. I know that there's good days, like every profession. You have good days, you have bad days, and there's challenging days, and there's those days, those aha moments that you just never forget. I think one of the things I love seeing when your graduation time is everybody wants to claim the scholarship students. Everyone wants to claim the graduates, which is awesome, right? It's phenomenal that you feel like I had a hand in that. That's the Gates Millennium Scholar. This student's going to go to Oklahoma State and wrestle. This student's going to go to Air Force Academy. That was my student, right? And so everybody's wants the bragging rights, which is cool because it takes a village. It doesn't matter if you were the elementary, preschool teacher, middle school, high school teacher. Just like we've mentioned here, I can name several teachers and counselors and that impacted my life. And so, we'll get to that moment where, when you have enough years in the system, whether you start as elementary, it takes a little longer for your kids to graduate, going through all those grade levels, and then you start saying, hey, that was my student. When you're in high school, you're spending time with them. When you're in middle school, it takes a few years, but there's so much to be proud of. So what's an aha moment, proudest moment, and then we'll get to the most challenging or most embarrassing moment, right? Because those days happen as well. All right.
For me, I think proudest moments would be just having students come back to the classroom, after being, in preschool or being in elementary with me, and then all of a sudden they're in middle high, or running to that parent who comes up to you and gives you a hug and says, because of you, my child loves school now. She was in your kinder classroom. Or one time I remember I ran into a parent and she reminded me of a 5th grade student that I had. Her name was Maricela, and she is at USC becoming a doctor.
Wow.
And so I think proud
So
moments
cool.
are just being able to learn about where your kids are now. Because they're our kids.
Yeah,
A lot of
absolutely.
times, they're our kids. They're with us 6-7 hours a day, 180 days a year. They're our kids. We invest in them just like their families invest in us. So proudest
Absolutely.
moments, I think, are those for me
Yeah.
when I get to see them in elementary and middle and high school, or going off to college and being like, oh my gosh, I can't, you think of that 3-year-old, 4-year-old that you had in preschool
And then
kinder.
they come visit you as adults, right?
Yes,
You're
with their
like,
kids.
oh my
Come
God.
with their kids.
I usually say, darn, I'm old when that happens, but but it is, those are special moments. How about you, Mr. Jimenez?
Day to day, it's really easy to find proud moments. Like the kids, just thinking about like what you're trying to build and you're trying to build expertise here, and you talk to them about like your goals and I want to become a better teacher this way, and they're really supportive in that and they really respect that. And just kind of having those talks with the kids and being able to have them give me feedback on how I'm teaching, and just seeing how much they're paying attention, how much they support me, is great. But like you said, the college moments, the graduating moments, that's a big thing. I had a group of kids that I had at Challenger since they were 7th graders, and then I moved up to Desert View, and then I had them again as freshmen, and then they joined my AVID class, and I rotated up through all the way to their senior year, and I graduated them last year. And so I had these kids for 5 years over COVID, and I got to see them grow from little itty bitty 7th graders all the way up to senior kids going to the U of A, going to NAU. Got to go on field trips and celebrate them, and there was a lot of tears on graduation night, and it was just great to be able to see these kids really turn into just amazing adults, and I'm very proud of those kids, and it's just, I'm super excited to see where they go.
All right.
I
Mr.
think,
Bussell?
I think for me, it just makes me proud to see what our kids develop into. In the middle school world, kids are developing brains, identity, mind, everything is kind of in flux.
You got them wild middle school kids. Huh?
Definitely do. And
those are the years.
They're fun, yeah. And so not every kid in middle school, it doesn't click for every kid in middle school.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the times I think that's one of the challenges in middle school, is that we don't always get to see the product of the work we're putting in, the final product. Not that exists, but for me, I love when a kid comes back and talks to me and is like, oh, now I've got it figured out. You should see my grades now, and it's just fun to see, like, now they are into it. They've found their way. Yeah. So that's awesome.
Just wait, Mr. Bussell. 20 years from now, you're going to be running into former students, and you're going to be like, okay, I know the voice, I know the name, what year, and it's just so hard to remember. But I usually don't forget the faces. Every once in a while I struggle with, what year did they graduate? What's their name? And I hear things from I run into someone at the doctor's office. One of my former students is an attorney. He was with O.J. Flores with Pascoyaki tribe. He's the attorney general there. You run into people that are super successful and they've gone through college, made a career, but then you also get those that, they're making it in life, whether they graduated from college or not. They're like, hey, sir, do you remember me? I was always in your office, but look at this is my family. I got a great job, and they're making it. They're making it in life, and success, is it's defined differently for everyone.
Definitely.
And so those are such cool moments, that we have, and so. I mean, we don't take that for granted. I mean, we have the opportunity to impact students every single day, and that's the coolest part about our jobs. We just had Love of Reading Week, not too long ago, and my favorite part is interacting with students. I mean, they say the darndest things. Like, I just don't like when they ask me my age. That's the only thing. You got a 4 or 5 year old saying, "How old are you?"
Well, speaking of former students, when we bought our house here in Tucson, a neighbor down the street came and started chatting with me, and he talked about his former student Jose Gastelum becoming the superintendent of Sunnyside.
Yeah, well, I'm going to cut you off right there, Mr. Bussell. I'm going to cut you off right there,
Mr. Bert Otero.
Yeah, so yeah, Coach Otero. I know he's your neighbor and a long time employee here. He worked at Desert View High School for many years. Was a successful softball coach as well. We'll give him a shout out. Won state championship in softball a couple times out there, and
small town feeling, right?
Absolutely, small town feeling. And so, I'm not going to let you guys get away from that last question of your most embarrassing moment. I know you guys are trying to throw me off here, and so not and just most challenging moments. And it doesn't have to be like a negative thing, but what there's sometimes it's you're in the classroom and your kid might, your students might correct you. We've all been in that situation where we're wrong and they're right, or what other little aha moment or challenging moment that you want to share, or funny moment. And one of the things I remember, one of my teachers, Mr. Winslow, back in the day, I was a senior. I walked into class and he was getting evaluated that day. And he's like, teachers get a little, I was a teacher, we get extra prepared and we want everything to go perfect when you're on your evaluation. And so we were coming in and he's like, guys, the man is coming in today. And so go sit down, the man, and he was a jokester and he was fun. And he goes, the man will be here, go sit down. And so we're all sitting down and he's taking attendance, getting the class ready. We had some bell work and we're all trying to get his attention. And he's like, the man will be here. Well, the man was there. We were like, his face turned so red where he says, the man is here. So it's one of those moments I never forget, as a student, right? And even as an educator, I never forget, because it's just, he wanted things to go so perfectly, and sometimes things don't go perfect, right? Many times they don't go perfect. And so it's that productive struggle we talk about. It's we get better from that. We get better from our failures, right? Sometimes we fail, sometimes it doesn't go as planned. And so, since, and it's all right. If we don't have a moment like that, that comes to mind, what's your message to those people, that are thinking about the teaching profession, that are thinking about maybe applying here at Sunnyside? What would you tell them?
I would say do it. If you want to be a teacher and you want to work in a district where you're going to be valued and appreciated, not only by the people that you work with, but by your families, by your students, Sunnyside is the place to be. I am very, very fortunate to work here in Sunnyside, and I can't imagine working anywhere else, away from my families and my kids.
It's a special community. It definitely is.
One of the things I had to learn quick was that you're not teaching college kids. You're not teaching college students. Like, you want to be a teacher, enjoy the kids. Like, you want to enjoy that the kids are kids and that they do mess around and it's fun, and they are some of the funniest kids that I've ever worked with. And to not expect adults sitting in those tiny little desks. They are kids, and to really enjoy that. It's a fun challenge every single day. They keep it exciting. They keep it different. You have to look up. I'm at the point where I'm looking up slang now because I'm just kind of falling out of touch. But
man, if you think you're falling out of touch, I'm way out of touch. I got a 13-year-old daughter that uses words like fire and cooked and this and that, and I have like no clue what the heck she's talking about, right? So I don't even know if the Google will tell you what that means nowadays. But education, that's the beauty of education. It's evolved so much. I mean, there's so much for teachers to think about now. I mean, we just had a board presentation about artificial intelligence. How AI is changing, and we have to embrace it, right? And so how do we teach students to use those pieces as tools, right? As something to gain from, not a negative thing, because sometimes people get caught up in the it's this piece. It definitely is about integrity, right? We want academic integrity, but we get so caught up in the cheating and this and that. You know what? Cheating's been going on for a long time, right? Whether you used an encyclopedia, whether you use a cheat sheet, whether it didn't matter, but how do we embrace technology and teach students and teachers how to use it the right way, and sometimes we fear it, right? It's like when we went from flip phones to smartphones, right? I mean, it was, I finally got my dad off the flip phone, so but it took a long time. But yeah, it's just embracing it. And so, Mr. Bussell, I know I went off on a tangent there with this other topic, but any last thoughts from you?
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Jimenez. I think sometimes it's very difficult to understand the slang that our students use. No, I mean, I think it's really easy in education to, at least for me, sometimes I tend to take it too seriously. I want our kids to be successful, and so I want them to, raise their proficiency in reading and writing and all this stuff. And sometimes I do have to step back and say, they are kids, and just enjoy the moment. I don't think that we can just always push. I mean, we can, but it's got to be in a way that's playful and fun sometimes.
Absolutely. I mean, as it's as long as it's rigorous, right?
Right.
I think sometimes, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying this, but I think sometimes we over scaffold a little bit, right? And we don't want our kids to fail, so we over scaffold, and that we got to set the bar high. It's got to be rigorous, and they'll meet us there. They will. Our kids are sharp, and they will work hard for you. And so, I mean, the days of sitting in front of the classroom and lecturing and kids taking notes, those days are pretty much gone, right? I mean, it's collaborative groups, it's kids speaking with one another, giving feedback with one another, teachers looking for evidence of learning, and teaching kids how to, build their agency so that they can create a learning stance, right, in terms of learning. And so, I used to think I was a great teacher because I had great classroom management, right? That made me a great teacher, but, I really wasn't, thinking back. I mean, I worked so hard on an orderly classroom, and I'm in control, and this and that, and you're going to sit there, and you're going to sit there quietly, and all it was compliance. Those were compliant behaviors. And looking back, I mean, I wish I knew then what I knew now. I would have probably been a lot better teacher, but I mean, but that's the beauty of it. You learn, right? You learn, and you learn from your colleagues, and you learn from watching each other. But we have got to continue to provide, a rigorous, instruction to our students, because I know they'll meet us there. And so as we close here, I just want to thank all of you for being on the show today. I think you gave some awesome insights to those individuals that are thinking about joining Sunnyside, those individuals that are thinking about joining the field of education. It's super, super rewarding profession. And, we're doing our best to hang on to these amazing educators, here at Sunnyside. And I feel like we're in good shape. I feel like the community is in good shape. We have a lot of community support from our parents. Our employees are just amazing individuals. They deeply care about your children, and they do care about outcomes. And so come visit us. I always say, come check us out and come be a part of something great, because amazing things are happening here, and it's only going to get better. And so any last thoughts, any last shout outs, anything you want to add that we have not covered here? Shout out to your kids, students. I mean, you'll be like the most popular teacher on campus when they hear this podcast. I mean, this is a nationally recognized podcast. I mean, not bragging, but we're getting there.
I would like to give a shout out actually to someone who has been very inspirational in me staying here in Sunnyside, and that's Dr. Bergman, who worked here in Sunnyside for many, many, many years and just retired, maybe 2 years ago. But I think she was very, very influential in me not only choosing Sunnyside, but me in staying in this profession and me staying in Sunnyside.
Awesome.
Just the level of respect that she has for the profession is,
Well, she better be listening to this podcast, or she ain't gonna get this message. But yeah, what a she's the utmost professional. I mean, that I have ever worked with. Super professional. Lady, if that's the appropriate word, right? But Miss Bergman was just so awesome. Dr. Bergman, I should say, was a phenomenal individual and contributed many, many years to the Sunnyside Unified School District. And so, how about anybody else?
I'll give a shout out to just all the students and staff at Apollo. I just
Go
love working
Eagles.
at Apollo. Let's go Eagles! Yeah, super dedicated team of teachers over there. Most welcoming front office staff in the district. I'll go ahead and say.
There you go.
And,
Like it. I like
it. Just a wonderful team in all, and couldn't do it without all of them.
Cool. Super cool. Mr. Jimenez, better say something now.
Ditto. I know. We'll fight about the front office stuff. Thanks to anybody who's given me a chance. Thanks to those thought partners along the way. Miss Nitre, Casey Benton, Kim Burt, just a string of Louis Ramirez, so many. Like you said, once you start naming people, you feel bad because of all the people you left off. But I appreciate the thought partners, the people who were able to work solutions, just including all the kids who gave me feedback, Mister, this wasn't the way to go about it, and but really just fantastic. It's very easy to be grateful for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for being so genuine and so open, right? This is what it's about, sharing our stories and hoping to inspire, the next teacher, right? The next educator and the next, young person that comes out of this community to give back to this special community. And so with that, I hate to say goodbye because we could be here all day talking, but that wraps up this episode of Somos Sunnyside. Hasta la próxima. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Somos Sunnyside. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found it entertaining. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and share our podcast with la comunidad. For updates on future episodes and more, be sure to follow us on social media and visit our website at susd12.org. We appreciate your support and can't wait to have you back for the next episode. Hasta la próxima vez en Somos Sunnyside.